The galactic empire of Vaelrix measured its power in absolutes. Absolute control of trade routes, absolute dominance of surrounding systems, absolute security at its core. At the center of that core floated Throne Ring Prime, a colossal orbital structure encircling a blue-white star. The inner hall, carved from alloy older than most civilizations, was where emperors were crowned and star systems condemned. No unauthorized being had set foot there in over 10,000 cycles. That was why the first alarm caused confusion, not fear. "Sensor anomaly," one technician muttered from a lower tier. "Probably a quantum echo." The second alarm was louder. Energy pylons along the inner hall flared to life, casting sharp shadows across thousands of assembled delegates. Military advisors rose from their seats. Honor guards tightened their grips on plasma halberds. Then the gate activated. A ripple of silver light tore open the air itself, slicing through layers of shielding as if they weren't there. Ancient defense algorithms scrambled, unable to classify the phenomenon. It wasn't a weapon. It wasn't an invasion force. It was a doorway. The hall went completely silent. From the heart of the distortion, a single figure stepped forward. Bipedal, soft-skinned, unarmored, a human. He blinked as the light behind him collapsed, sealing the breach with a soft chime. His boots echoed against the polished floor as he took 2 slow steps forward, squinting up at the towering statues and endless tiers of watching eyes. "Well," he said casually, "that's new." Every weapon in the chamber locked onto him at once. Targeting runes crawled across his chest. Defense arrays recalculated firing solutions thousands of times per second. Any one of them could have reduced him to atoms. No one fired. Because the human didn't react. He didn't freeze, didn't raise his hands, didn't beg. He simply looked around, turning in a slow circle, as if admiring the architecture. "Okay," he muttered to himself, checking a glowing wrist display. "Gate marker says transit hub. This is definitely not a transit hub." A murmur spread through the hall like static. It speaks freely. It does not recognize where it stands. Is it mad? A Vaelrix honor guard finally broke formation. Towering, armored mandibles flared in warning. The commander leveled his halberd inches from the human's face. "Identify yourself," the commander barked. "You stand before the Imperial Conclave of Vaelrix. Kneel." The human leaned back slightly, peering up at the weapon with mild interest. "Huh, that's a nice finish," he said. "Ceramic alloy or composite?" The commander stiffened. "You will kneel." The human sighed, not in fear, but in convenience. "Look, I really don't want to cause a scene," he said, spreading his hands slightly. "I'm pretty sure I took a wrong jump. Happens when you let the nav AI auto-optimize." He tapped his wrist again, frowning. "Yeah, definitely a wrong jump." A senior strategist hissed from the upper tiers. "This is mockery. Destroy it now." But something held them back. The human wasn't acting superior. He wasn't challenging them. He was acting like this was a minor mistake. "And you just walked through our shields?" another official demanded. "Walked, stepped, tripped. Semantics," the human replied. "Your gate protocols are creative." The honor guard tightened their circle. "If you resist," the commander warned, "you will die." The human looked up, genuinely curious. "Oh?" he said. "That fast?" A few beings recoiled at his tone. Not sarcasm, not bravado. Simple curiosity, like someone asking about weather conditions. He glanced at the surrounding tiers, at the countless eyes fixed on him. "Wow," he added. "This is a lot of people. Is this a ceremony day or something?" No one answered. The silence stretched until it became unbearable. Finally, the human shrugged and set the small metal case he was carrying gently on the floor, nudging it aside with his foot. "All right," he said calmly. "I'll just wait here until someone points me toward the exit." He leaned against a marble pillar. Relaxed. Surrounded by weapons capable of ending civilizations. And in that moment, something far more dangerous than panic spread through the inner hall. Unease. because the human hadn't breached their empire through force. He had wandered into it and behaved as if the most powerful civilization in the galaxy was little more than an inconvenient wrong turn. The Emperor of Vaelrix did not rush. He never had. When he entered the inner hall, the chamber responded instinctively. Thousands of officials lowered their heads, honor guards struck the floor in perfect unison, and even the hum of the energy pylons seemed to soften in deference. The human noticed none of it. He was sitting on the edge of a wide marble step, boots dangling casually, scrolling through his wrist display with a faint frown. "Yeah," he muttered, mostly to himself. "That's what I thought. Wrong gate ID." The Emperor stopped several paces away, towering and ancient, his presence heavy enough to crush lesser beings into submission. "You entered the heart of my empire," the Emperor said, voice resonant and controlled, "without permission, clearance, or escort." The human looked up. "Oh," he said politely, "you must be in charge." A ripple of shock ran through the hall. No titles, no fear, no hesitation. "I am," the Emperor replied, "and you should already be dead." The human said thoughtfully. "Yeah, I figured that was on the table." The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "Then explain why you are still alive." The human stood, brushing dust from his jacket. He picked up the small metal case from the floor and held it loosely at his side. "Because," he said, "you haven't decided whether killing me would make things worse." The silence that followed was absolute. That wasn't a guess. It was an assessment. "You assume much," the Emperor said. "Not really," the human replied. "If you wanted me gone, I wouldn't be here. So either you're curious or cautious." A murmur spread among the advisors. The Emperor studied the human closely now, not as an intruder, but as an unknown variable. "You feel no fear," he said. The human considered the statement. "I wouldn't say none," he replied. "Just not enough to be useful." That answer unsettled the hall more than any threat. "You stand surrounded by weapons capable of ending your species," the Emperor continued. The human nodded. "Yeah, been there." "Explain." The human exhaled slowly. "Look, where I come from, most of our problems don't announce themselves. They just happen. Equipment fails, plans break, things go wrong." He shrugged. "You learn pretty early that panicking doesn't help." "And if we kill you?" the Emperor pressed. The human's expression softened, not with fear, but understanding. "Then my people will investigate," he said calmly. "Not out of revenge, out of caution." "Caution?" "Because if someone kills a human who wandered in by accident," he explained, "it means they're willing to escalate without context. And that's concerning." The Emperor paused. Ancient records flickered through his mind. Fragmented intelligence from the galactic fringe. Humans surviving catastrophes that erased older species. Humans adapting doctrine mid-battle. Humans treating loss not as failure, but data. "You are not a diplomat," the Emperor said. "Nope." "Not a soldier?" "Not anymore." "Then why were you traveling alone?" The human lifted the metal case slightly. "Delivery job." The Emperor gestured. "Open it." The human hesitated, just a fraction of a second, then snapped it open. Inside was nothing dramatic. No weapon, no device, just a sealed data core marked with warning symbols from multiple civilizations. "Courier contract," the human said. "Class neutral, non-political, non-hostile." "And the contents?" the Emperor asked. "Information," the human replied. "The kind people usually ignore until it's too late." The Emperor closed the case with a motion of his hand. "You will not deliver it here." "That's fine," the human said. "Wasn't meant for you." The Emperor studied him one final time. "You walked into the most powerful empire in known space," he said, "and treated it as an inconvenience." The human smiled faintly. "Power's relative." A few guards shifted uneasily. The Emperor raised a hand. "Escort this human safely back to the gate. No harm will come to him." A stunned officer spoke. "Your Radiance—" "Because," the Emperor continued, "any species that can enter our heart by accident and remain calm has already decided we are not its enemy. The human paused at the threshold of the reactivated gate. "Oh," he said, glancing back, "one more thing." The Emperor inclined his head. "You might want to label that gate better," the human said. "Next time someone less polite might come through." Then he stepped into the light. The gate sealed. Only after he was gone did the hall begin to breathe again. The Emperor turned to his advisors. "Update the imperial doctrine," he commanded quietly. "How so?" one asked. The Emperor's gaze lingered on the space where the human had stood. "Humans," he said, "are not dangerous because they seek conquest." A pause. "They are dangerous because they don't need to." And for the first time in centuries, the galactic empire of Vaelrix redefined the word threat.